Are you an ally or are you my oppressor? This is not going to be a good show. Um, when I was looking up statistics about the Shannon Sharp situation and the significance of the fact that he, as a black man, is being accused by a non-black person, a white woman, of sexual assault. What I was checking for the propensity of these particular types of allegations within the context of race. And what I found to be shocking. Big up to my brother, Dr. David Israel, the doctor, my linguist mentor, to the Emmanuel Church of Jesus Christ Apostolic, Glorious Churches of Canada, Faith Temple Apostolic International Ministry, all the cyclopses that are in the building. This is L.K. Brereton. This is the Shiloh Institute. This is not going to be a good show. You see, what I found was, let me just take you through the statistics and how research takes place and how it happened. I was looking for statistics of incarceration. And so what I found is that in Canada, let me start with where I am, the incarceration rate by race, 56% of all incarcerated individuals in Canada are white, interestingly enough. 36%, 38% rather, are black in Canada, interestingly enough. America, of course, has a preponderance of over-incarceration of black people. Black men are extremely over-incarcerated per populace in America. However, what I found was the largest incarcerated group in the world was the Aboriginal Australian. The Aboriginal Australian is the most incarcerated demographic of people in the world. Those black folks in Australia are catching hell. They're catching hell, and most of them have been, murdered. There's been a genocide of them, so that individuals who are not even, Aboriginal, truly, white people have replaced them, and probably the ones that are in prison are the ones that actually are the original Aboriginals. Now, going now into domestic statistics. I was looking into domestics because effectively this Shannon Sharp thing is a domestic, and it's not really, but it is. Shannon Sharp's scenario is a class conflict. It's not a race conflict. He's a multi-millionaire who's being targeted not because of his race. He's been targeted because of his wealth. And race is a misnomer in that entire scenario. But Shannon Sharp's scenario, again, forced me to look a little bit deeper into domestics. 10% of all domestic assault claims are false. They're false allegations, 10%. So that would mean that 90% of them have some merit to them. However, when it comes to domestic assaults that are divided by race, black men are 24% more likely to receive harsher penalties for domestic assaults than other races are. Meaning that when black women accuse black men, or when black men accuse black women of domestics, they are more likely to be incarcerated for longer periods of time. But this is the part that effectively blew my mind. Since the 1980s, there's been like a 400% increase in the domestic claims from black women towards black men. Prior to the 80s, black women did not call the police on black men. Prior to the 80s, black women did not utilize the judicial systems to place black men in prison, to place black men in any level of trouble whatsoever. But it has increased dramatically increased. And so what we're seeing right now, and what this show has become for today, is we have to ask the question again: black women, are you the ally of black men, or are you their actual oppressor? question. It's not an allegation. It's a question. It's not an allegation. It's a question. It's not an allegation. Prior to the 80s, black men, of course, we know the statistics, we know the history, were railroaded by white police officers, white judges, white district attorneys, in scenarios where they were where they were wrongfully accused, where their charter rights were been broken, where police had pinned things on them, and they were being railroaded by a system that was mainly a non-black system. But since the 80s, statistics will show that due to the drastic change in the behavior of the domestic family between black women and black men, black women have been participant in the over-incarceration of black men. And effectively, when you look at it that way, from the 80s on, black men have to have a re-examination of the conversations we've been having with ourselves about this so-called oppression of white people in respect to us. Because it's not the white man who is calling the police because you're having an argument with him in the privacy of your home. It is not the white man who is keeping you away from your children. It is not the white man that is getting a family court order to put a restraining order on you. It is not the white man who is going after you for child support, for alimony. It is not the white man who is participating in the incarceration of black men for the purposes of non-violent crime regarding family law. Non-violent because we said 10% of them are false allegations. Therefore, 90% of them are allegations that potentially are true. So we have to say, hey, if you're putting your hands on a black woman, 90% of you are doing it. 10% of you are being railroaded. So the non-violent scenarios, non-violent occurrences of black men in family court is strictly for the purposes of either gaining sole possession of a child, gaining access to the wealth of that man, or child support from that man, or enforcing some level of measure of control over that man and his child. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been a 400% increase since the 80s. That blew my socks off, because it really means that these statistics that we are seeing of black men who are not interested in getting married, of black women who are angry and not necessarily pro-black men, have a very aggressive, radical feminist view of what a black man is. These statistics are indicative of what is taking place actually in the courts, in the society, that effectively black men and black women are not allies at this moment. Since the 1980s, we're not allies. We're not necessarily good together when it comes to the nuclear family. And this is a very scary statistic. This is a scary statistic. It's something that I almost was like, I don't know if I should say this, because it means that if this is true, that black men are predominantly being persecuted by black women when they get into relationships with them, that means that black men, to stay out of the correctional systems, to stay out of the court systems, to keep their wealth from being taken from them through family law, to make sure that they actually have access to their children after they've had them, they should not be building families with black women, based on these statistics. And that's a scary sentence to say. That's a sentence I don't want to come out of my mouth. But imagine, when you look at these statistics, Black men have to be very concerned when it comes to marrying or getting into any type of amorous relationship with a black woman, and especially having children, especially having a sharing of wealth, especially buying property, anything that would cause the family law systems to step into gear in common law. We now have to be extremely concerned, and especially from the perspective of incarceration. I wasn't looking for how much black men paid in child support. I wasn't looking to how many black men don't take care of their kids and all those things that could be relevant statistics. What I looked at is incarceration. Incarceration, black men in America are being incarcerated as often as individuals working in the drug trade for family law issues, whether it be violent, whether it be the lack of child support, but family law has us in jail more than anything else today. And family law means that the person testifying, that the complainant against us is the woman in our life. And yes, some of them could be individuals who could be Hispanic, it could be Asian, it could be white, but predominantly we know that it is the black woman. It is the black woman. And that is a very scary statistic. And I will leave out as a caveat for more research for anyone listening to this, and even for myself, we have to see how many of those black men have been incarcerated by women who are not black women. That's definitely a statistic that we need to look into. But for the most part, we can assume that these black men, when they're getting into relationships with black women, have put their freedom on the line. Show of hands, how many black men have only received knocks on their door from the police for domestic scenarios that are dealing with black women? How many times have you, as a white woman, called the police on you since the 80s? How many times has a white woman taken you to court since the 80s? How much money do you owe a white woman for your so-called house and paying of children's support? How many times has a black woman said, I'm not negotiating, I'm not talking, I want everything? How many times have you divorced a white woman since the 80s? So we are seeing the deterioration and the destruction of the black family so much, so far, that the black woman has now become an ally, not of black men, but has become an ally of the white supremacy system, the white male supremacy system that seeks to incarcerate and marginalize black men. Understand what I just said. I'm not saying all white men are trying to do that. I'm saying that of the white establishment, whether it be judicial, whether it be social, whether it be systemic, that white male power structure that has an agenda to put black men in prison, to incarcerate black men, to disempower black men, that black women have become an ally to that system more than they have become an ally to us. And that is a scary statistic, because there's a difference between intentionality and statistical reality. Well, we don't want to do that. That's not our intention. That's not how I feel. That's not my agenda. But those are what the statistics show. It shows that when you want that black man to behave, you call the white police. It shows that when you want that black man to pay or to show up, you go to the white judge. It shows that when you want that black man to suffer, you cause him to be under some level of order that causes him to be incarcerated. That's what it shows. It shows that you're using the judicial system to deal with your relationships in a punitive way. It shows that you're dangerous. It shows that you're not eligible for the safety of black men in a family relationship. It shows that you're not our ally historically. And if you can say, well, that's not how I feel, I'm so glad that's not how you feel. If that's not how you feel, well, we need to change the statistics. But if that's how you feel, you're dangerous. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the scariest nuances of the new age that I have heard in a very long time. And imagine, the black woman is more of an ally to the white man than they are to me. And that's what's going to come from this. Men are going to say, the black woman is not our ally. The black woman is an ally to the white white establishment. She's not an ally to me. That is a scary thing. And that's something I do not want to start a forest fire through the black community, where men start repeating that sentence, even though statistically it can be shown to be true. And that's a scary, 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 scary thought. And that's why now Dr. Umar, in his attack on the white snow bunny, Dr. Umar, you might have to relook at your statistics, my brother, because if this is true, that the black man is statistically predisposed to be incarcerated at a higher level, to be depleted of his wealth at a higher level, to be deprived of his access to his children at a higher level for marrying or having children with or dating or cohabitating with a black woman, then the snow bunnies better be put back on the doggone table, or the Asians or the Latinos need to be put back on the table. Because if that means that in order for me to propagate and to increase the black community through my progeny and my reproductive systems, means that I have to live a black widow spider life or a praying mantis life, where those two particular insects destroy the male that they're mating with, then that's a problem. Because I don't want to put children on the planet and then I become a dead man. I effectively have no capacity to raise them. We know the statistics of the black single mother and how children fare when being raised by a black single mother. Those kids' achievement level is lower. Their capacity to graduate is lower. Their propensity to get impregnated if they're girls is much higher. Their ability or the presence of the law of legal systems in their early life is much higher when they have only black mothers. Those boys have children at a rapid rate, unmarried, younger, they're having children out of wedlock when they have only a black mother. We know those statistics already. But when you add that to this and say not only does the black mother by herself not functionally raise good children statistically, not cause her children to succeed statistically, but when you throw in that she also causes black men to go to jail more, to be incarcerated more, to be poorer, that becomes a very serious and dangerous statistic. It means that somewhere along the lines between the 1980s and today, somehow the black woman has changed teams, and we need to ask her, whose team are you on? We need to ask her. Because even if she says, well, I'm not on the white man's team, he's not trying to help me, then you're not on our team, you're on your own team. Whose team are you on? And this means that statistically, you have to do some more in-depth study about yourself and about how you influence the community that looks like you, and how you are helping to build the community that comes out of you. If the black man comes out of you, why are you putting him in prison more than any other race? Listen to me, black mothers, if the black man comes out of you, why is it that you are putting them in jail more than any other race? Unless you're an Australian, of course. If you're an Australian, that's probably not your situation. You're Aboriginal, Australian, that's not your situation. But in the West, in America, black men show up in court for black women's problems, issues, circumstances more than any other person, more than white people, more than Karen. Karen's not sending black men to prison as much as Shaniqua is. And that's a problem, Shaniqua. That's a big doggone problem. If I can trust Karen more than I can trust you, it's a big problem. If I can trust the white man who doesn't like me more than I can trust you who's supposed to love me, that's a big doggone problem. If I know that when I have children with you, count to 10, count to 7, count to 14, after that, I will not have access to my kids. It's a big problem if I'm trying to grow wealth and you're trying to take that wealth. right? And we perpetuate these things even as black men, because you Negroes are out here trying to be stepdaddies and don't stop and pause yourself and realize, wait a minute, I'm stepping into a stepdaddy situation. Why is this child? Why? Where is the father? Why am I now stepping in to becoming a surrogate father to a 3-year-old? 3 years ago, you had a relationship with a man that produced children. Where is he? He's still alive. He is not incarcerated. He still wants to participate in his children's lives. Where is he? Why isn't he here? What has taken place in the relationship? What is the historical realities? Because if he has been now taken to court by you, why would I trust that I am not to be? Why am I different? Why am I special? And we need to have this conversation with ourselves. We need to have it. You need to have that doggone conversation with me, because if it means that enemy number one to the black woman is me, then I don't have any kids outside of the context of my black race. I don't have any. All my kids are with black women. I've married black women. I've been taken to court by black women. I've been accused of stuff by black women. I've never went to court. I've never went to court for anybody else, but except for black women. I have no criminal record, thank God. But I had to fight. I had to fight for my doggone life because of black women. I've lost 3 houses, black women. Right? Well, what is your position? What is your point in that? I have never taken a house from a black woman. I've never charged a black woman and got her incarcerated. I've never put a black woman in any position for the police to show up in her life. I've never put my hands on a black woman. So why is it the other way around? This is the question. We have to ask these real questions. If you're 50 years old as a black man in North America and you have never gone to the prison system, and you're a heterosexual male and you've dated black women, you are an anomaly. You are not the rule. You listen. And for black men who have not married black women, who have not had children with black women, and they say, well, I've never been charged by my woman. My woman never charged me. Is your woman black? So have you been in a relationship with a black woman? You have a child with a black woman? And if you haven't, then we're not talking to you. We're not talking about you, bro. We're not talking about you. We are not talking about you. And this thing has me, like I said, I got up this morning and I said, let me look at the statistic regarding Shannon Sharpe and how white women have incarcerated or attempted to incarcerate black men, And when I found to be scary, I stumbled into this statistic. I didn't wake up in the morning and say, let me have a conversation with this. I said, whoa, this research blows my mind. This research is a game changer. This is a revelation. Now you know where Kevin Samuels and all these other guys come from with some of their issues, but this is the most insidious of them all, to know that I can meet this beautiful black queen and I can start just press the stopwatch. Press the stopwatch. And in a certain amount of time, regardless if we have children or not, there's going to be law enforcement showing up in our relationship. Why? I mean, if I'm aggressive, okay. But if I'm not, forget about aggression. I am predisposed that if I have a family with you, black woman, I won't raise my kids. I don't get to raise them. I don't get to raise them with you. I'm going to have to be in court fighting over what? We're the lowest wealth holders in North America, but we're standing in court more than everybody else. What are we fighting over? Because I promise you, I don't want your lace fronts wigs. I don't want to divide up. I don't want to divide up your CoverGirl makeup. I don't care. Those fake bags, you can have them all. I don't care. What are we fighting over? That raggedy Lexus that you own, you can keep the raggedy Lexus. You don't own it, you're leasing it. What are we really fighting over if we don't own nothing? The one little house that we bought, that we hope together that we can build our own wealth with, that we went into debt in order to try to keep this place and to keep a roof over us and our children's head. And that means that one of us keeps the house, or both of us lose the house, and now our children are living in a level of abject poverty that we don't have wealth to pass on to them because we've been fighting amongst each other, and we get to the point that we're so aggravated, so detestable to each other that we're going to pick up the phone and call the police and say, yeah, it's 7:10 and he's supposed to have the kids home by 7 o'clock. This is a scary thought. And then black men blindly, stupidly, because of lust, are walking into that situation right behind me. Yeah, bro, I broke up with her, man. Yeah, man, she took me to court. She cleaned me out. And then your dumb behind is walking right into that, right behind me. Right behind me. Because what? She gonna treat you different? You're special, right? You're a complete new transformed thing. You don't realize you got 2 legs, two arms, a set of lungs, a heart, and male genitalia. And at the end of the day, brother, the statistics are against you too. Nah, man, this is different. This is a serious thing. And black women, I need you to understand before you get your back up. If I was reading a statistic, you said black women are incarcerated more by black men, or if I said black women are murdered more by black men, right? Which some statistics over the years, they said, black women are more predisposed to have to be assaulted by men in their community. If I mention things like that, you're gonna say, hey, that's a serious statistic. You got to pause. You're gonna pause and say, wait, are you telling me black men are the people? Yeah, black men kill you guys more than any other man. Wow, that would be a serious. That wouldn't that be a serious statistic? Jeez. Black men will swear up and down we come from them. How many of these men are not providing though? Let's say they're not providing, Zenobia. Let's say they're not providing. I go, I get out here, I have male genitalia, I'm good looking. You come into my spider web, and I put a baby in you, right? And then I decide I don't feel like taking care of that child, right? Let me ask you a question. Should I go to jail? Should I go to jail? I don't want to take care of the child. I want to take care of the baby. I don't like you. Baby kind of funny looking. I don't like your mama. I ain't taking care of that child. You're on your own, girl. Should I go to jail? And if you say yes, you should go to jail, then guess what? You should go to jail with me because you opened your legs and decided to let Dusty have a baby with you. You didn't do your research, right? All you black women out here, you got these Dusties. You had babies for Dusties, and they didn't want to be participant. They became, and this is not about a guy's wealth, because we see this basketball player, right? We see Ant from Minnesota gave a girl some money because he doesn't want the baby. So he said, I don't want the child. I don't want nothing to do with this child. I'm gonna pay you all the child support in advance. Do not call me. Minnesota basketball player did that. NBA player, rich. So this is not about wealth necessarily. It's about some Negroes are just people you shouldn't have children with, right? But you can say, well, at least he's paying. That makes him a good father. If I say, listen, I'm gonna prepay all the child support. Never call me. I don't care if that little Negro is sick. I don't care what he is, what she is. Don't call me. I don't want to raise no child with you. That doesn't make me a better person because I paid, right? And doesn't make him a bad person because he doesn't have the capacity to pay, because guess what? Being a dad is not about paying child support. That's not what being a dad is. Being a dad is about being present. Being a dad is about being present, okay? I work in the school systems. I work with black kids. I work in a marginalized community, right? Where black kids don't have their fathers present. And then when we get in touch with the dad, right? When the single black mom, child is out of control, little boy is out of control, and we get in touch with the dad and we reconnect that black boy to the father, guess what happens in the school system? That kid starts to function. So black fatherhood is about presence. It's not about money. It's about being there. It's about having his bass voice and having the confidence instilled in that child by the presence of that black man. It's not about provision. It's not about money. I know America, everything in America is about money. Everything in America is about money. The church is about money in your minds. Everything's about money. It's not about money. Black fathers is about being present. It's about the presence of a father and the knowledge of a father. Black men, little black boys are angry because they don't know who their father is. It's not because they don't have a good household. I know of a kid right now, angry every day, angry. Why? Because he doesn't know who his daddy is, doesn't know who his true father is, and the stepfather that stepped in, he's not doing the job. So this is not about money. It's not about money. It's not about, does the kid have the right PS2 and he's wearing the right jeans and the right Nikes and he's got to get a braid up every week. It's not about that. It's about the fact that the black man's presence is more valuable than anything he can ever pull out of his pocket. Because I guarantee you, I am more valuable than the money I have in the bank. I am priceless, right? I am much more valuable to a child, to the world, than what I have in the bank. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. That I am immeasurable in value. It's not about what we have in the bank, right? I can't raise my kid like Elon Musk can raise my kid. That doesn't make me a lesser father. And that's important to know. But when we throw, again, this statistical mindset out here and say, what is the attitude of black women to black men when it comes to being in romantic relationships to them? Are you concerned for my safety? Do you wish me to be free? Or am I just a tool for your upliftment? And when you are done, I am discarded and you could care less about me. I hear so many women, when they refer to their children, they refer to them in the personal, in the singular personal. This is my child. This is my son. This is my daughter. And they talk to each other in that terminology. And these new, of course, they're not that new. This sperm donor daddy and his dusty daddy. And all of a sudden, these people become demons to them. And then they're looking for Mr. Right. I mean, they're not even healed yet. That child just fell out of their womb and they're done with the last guy and they're looking for a next guy to pick up all the pieces and be this nurturing father to a children that don't belong to him, while you are demonizing the last guy. This is an epidemic. It's an epidemic. And I see it in Toronto, fourth largest city in North America, in a very intensified black community in this city. Toronto, dating in Toronto, it's a cesspool. It's the worst. It is the worst place in the world for black people to date in this city. Let me tell you why. If all women said, well, money doesn't make me a good mother, I'll just stop feeding my child. People notice when children got on dirty clothes and all that. Money doesn't make you a good mother. Money can't make you a good mother. In fact, I don't have statistics on it because it just came up with you. I strongly believe through experience that actually the more wealth that you were raised in is probably the higher percentage that you will be a terrible mother. The more wealth you had growing up, the higher probability that you will be a rotten mother, because you never had to learn any of the skills of life, because you've had maids, you've had people doing your hair for you, you've been an entitled little princess, and unless you have the wealth to do the same thing, you'll be a rotten mother. And I've seen and experienced and lived through first person experience wealthy women who are rotten mothers, and their children right now cannot stand them. They don't want to see their kids. They don't want to take care of their kids. They're terrible mothers. And they can only mother children who are easy. And that's not how life goes, right? I got some hard-headed kids, mostly boys, and my daughters are great. And if my daughters are great, and you've only had daughters, and you can't manage your girl children, there's not even boys. No, wealth doesn't make you a good mother. I've lived it. I'm sorry, I've seen too much. Okay, I've seen women nurture their children to death. Give them everything, and it's the worst possible thing they could have done. Not at all. Money does not make you a good parent. At all. At all. Okay? Kids are walking in here with the best Nikes and fantastic lunches, and their mothers are providing all their little snacks and everything, and they're bad little Negroes. Bad, undisciplined little Negroes. So that's not it. That's just unfortunately not it. Right? This conversation is really about the relationship between black women and black men in those relationships. And why is it that those relationships turn out more than not for black men to be incarcerated? I should not get married, have a child with you, and be worried about being incarcerated. I'm not a drug dealer. We're not committing a crime. You're telling me that I am just as likely to get a long-term jail sentence for the paying of a child support. Like, let me just explain something to you. Child support is expensive now. You got 2 or 3 kids, you might have to come up with maybe a few $1,000s a month, depending on how much money you make, right? And the average separation period of time before the divorce is 2 or 3 years. So now you got $3,000 a month multiplied by 12 months, right? Can you do that math? At $36,000. And so the takes you 3 years to get a proper divorce. So that's like about $100,000 of child support that should have been transpired between the male and the female in that period of time, right? You're going back and forth, right? You're seeing your son and daughter. You're picking up the kids, right? You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You might be paying a mortgage in 2 places, but then at the end of that court scenario, okay, sir, retroactive child support, we're going to put that at $100,000 for the last 3 years, and we're going to put you in a position where you got to pay this woman alimony. We're going to make that retroactive, and so you're sitting in a 6-figure bill. You're sitting at $100,000, $200,000 maybe by the time you're divorced. And then they're saying, when can you pay that? You're like, I can't come up with that kind of money. Okay, we're gonna have to put you on a $10,000 a month child support and alimony. When can you pay $10,000 a month? How am I going to live on $10,000 a month? So you can't do that either. And so now, oh, he's a deadbeat dad. Now there's a warrant out for your arrest, sir, if you don't make this money. Well, I can't pay the money. It's not possible. I can't pay the money. What happens? You are now in the court system. You are now potentially in a position to be incarcerated. Let's say you're not incarcerated right away. They say, you know what, we're gonna suspend your license. I still got to work. I still got to drive. Boom, you get pulled over for driving under suspension. Like, all of these things, they create a much greater effect because of just you're going through a scenario with a person who says, no, I'm done, and I want this to be about money now. And that's the problem. It was never about money at the beginning. It's about love. It's about building an empire, being happy, raising a family, all these things, but all of it comes back to money. And when it comes back to money, that woman now, how does she enforce her money? She goes to the court system. How does she enforce the children coming home? She calls the police. How does she allow herself to be free and having a new relationship with somebody else and live in that man's house with a new man? She gets a restraining order. And this guy, oh, I'm coming to my house. I don't care. That's my house. I don't care who's there. He shows up at his house. Boom, police show up. You're under arrest. You broke a restraining order. That's a criminal charge, sir. Man. She says, Nick is out here paying $50 for child support. I've seen it. Yeah, they're paying $50 for child support because that's their income level. And you went and had a baby with a Dusty who's making $20,000 a year, and he's paying $50 child support because that's his income level. If he's a dude who was making real money, he's not paying $50 a month. He's paying $50 a month because that's what the court ordered him to pay. And if he's paying $50 a month and the court ordered him to pay $2,000, he's going to have people knocking on his door in a little while, and he's going to probably have to serve time. 30 days, whatever. He's going to get what's called a committal warrant. A warrant of committal is when you owe money and they pick you up and you can't pay. You can't get out of jail until you pay the committal warrant. And they're not putting you in child support jail. They're putting you in jail with real people, real criminals. You're going to jail. You're going to prison. So now I owe Visa $30,000. I owe the Bank of America or Scotiabank, $800,000 for my mortgage, and I decide not to pay that. I'm going bankrupt. I'm done. I can't pay it. I'm going bankrupt. Nobody puts you in jail. You owe $10,000 to Margaret. Margaret can get you locked up for 10 grand, and you go to real prison until you pay $10,000. Come on. Black men are not supposed to go to jail. You're not supposed to go to jail for child support. Child support is not something you go to jail for. Alimony, not something you go to jail for. It's a ridiculous use of an incarceration system to put men in jail for child support. It's a ridiculous thing to go to. Alimony, you don't go to jail for that. You don't. There's other methods, there's other means. You don't put people in you don't incarcerate people for non-violent scenarios. You don't take away people's civil rights and freedoms, take away their access to their children, take away their capacity to earn money. You don't suspend their rights to society for child support. You don't do that. That's just not how a civilized society should run, right? And anybody who tells me otherwise, let's talk about some other things that are going on in society that they don't put you in jail for. Let's talk about these things. Other things that people are allowed to do that they do not go to jail for. We can have that discussion too. But it's incredible to me. So I think black women have to make that decision and say, hey, whose side are we really on? And I've spoken to a lot of black women say, I've never taken my ex-husband to court. I've never taken my children to the court. I don't believe in that. Those women, I'm not talking about you. I'm not calling the police on no black man. I'm not talking about. I'm not going to pick up the police and call the police on members of my community. If I can't handle it myself, and we really need to get police involved, you need to be removed from society probably. But when it comes to people who are raising families together, you now got to use the police to enforce your child support or enforce your access to your children. Those things are crazy to me. Those things are insane to me. And it's insane when you look at these statistics and you see that 400 times more since the 80s. What's changed? What's happened? Oh, black women are now just speaking up for themselves. No. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. There's been a change. There's been a psychological change. There's been an attitude change, because it's not just that. It's the increase of divorces from black families now instigated by the black female. There's a lot of changes. Black women, there's been some changes. And we need to figure out what those changes are. We need to understand why you have changed so drastically in respect to your mentality towards your black husband, your black children. What's changed? I don't have an answer, but something's changed, because statistically, all the way down the line, things have changed. And I'm curious as to what the change is. That's all. I ain't making no accusations. The statistics speak for yourself. If you have other statistics, please look them up. I told you what they were, right? The largest incarcerated population is the Aboriginal Australian. That black men are predominantly more predisposed to be incarcerated in North America for domestic scenarios. That black men are going to jail for family law more than they're going to jail for anything else. Come on, this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. And black men, before you start calling out the white man, you better look at the woman you're lying down next to and you figure out, hey, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Would you call the police on me? Would we act like this if we broke up? Were you going to act like this? Is this how the life we're going to have? You got to ask the question, man, because it's getting hectic out here. It's dangerous out here. And if the woman that we elevate to queen level is enemy number one, is the most dangerous person to us, then we have to re-examine that situation. And I'm all for black love. I'm all for the black family. Like I said, I've never had a child outside of the context of having a black relationship. I've only been in those kind of relationships. I've never been in anything else. But if I statistically have identified that person is not that person, I've had people say, "Hey, you think that guy's your friend? He's not your friend. Let me tell you what he said about you. But when you weren't around, he's not your friend. Well, we've been friends for years. He's not your friend. Let me tell you, that guy's not your friend. Whoa." And you give me the evidence. You give me the statistics to demonstrate that's not your friend. How can I fight that? It's not me. It's the evidence. I hope the evidence isn't true. Let me read this and get out of here. How do you enforce provision without the courts? You can't. You can't enforce provision. You can't. You cannot enforce it. You can't enforce it. You can't make me care. Here's the money. Here, you take how much you want. You want $200 a month? Take it. Don't call me. That's what you want? You want $200 a month? You want $300 a month? That's what you think? That's what you think that's going to hold you up? It's not going to hold you up. That kid's going to rebel. That kid's going to speak out of turn. That kid's going to grow up and say, "Where's my daddy?" That kid's going to grow up and rebel. It's not what you need. You need a black man in the house. Our value is not monetary. It doesn't matter how much money you get. That child needs a man in the house. You cannot administer provision. The provision you should have administered is staying in the relationship, is picking better, is being a better spouse. That's the provision. That's the provision you should have maintained. You can't say, "Well, he's not with me now and I got to make sure he takes care of these kids." You can't. You cannot. And even the courts cannot. That Negro can pick up and say, I'm going to Jamaica. Come find me. I'm going to Africa. Come find me. I'm going to Nova Scotia. Come find me. You still can't. Can't get the blood out of a stone. Can't. How many guys running around here right now, right? No criminal record, but they're wanted for child support warrants, driving dirty, registering their cars to somebody else's name just to make sure the cops don't pull them over because they ain't paying you no money because all you want is money? No, I ain't picking that child up. I'll leave that child right there. I'll see him when he's grown. That's what you're going to create. You cannot enforce provision. You can't enforce someone to care. You can't do that. If you want to be broke up, you broke up. And you got the child. You want the child. You could have gave him the child. You could have said, "Hey, you know what? You keep the child. It's yours. This baby. You keep these babies. I'll pay you child support because I ain't going to sit up in here and do it by myself." No, you can't do that. You can't enforce nothing. You can't enforce it. It's not enforceable. The judge can't enforce it neither. All he's giving you a little piece of paper. That piece of paper won't make me move. Can't do it. The world is a big place. Pick up his passport. In America, he just drive to another state. Can't enforce that, right? And so if you're thinking that, "Well, I'm gonna get the police on him. I'm gonna get him locked up," that's the problem. That's the problem. That is the problem, because that's not going to help nothing. If he doesn't pay, he's going to go to jail. How's that going to help him? How's that going to help your child? How's it going to help your community? That don't make no sense. And if that's our mentality, that's our problem. We need to change that. Children, we have an expression in the Caribbean, right? God always provides for a child. You don't have to worry about provision with a child. That child will always eat. That child will be okay. Provision. It's not, that's that. No, this is principle you're trying to deal with now. This is principle. And let me tell you something. As a man who had to go through that, I've said to myself, let me see. My child is going to be a child for 18 years. And if they live, let's even call it 20 years. And if they live to 80 years old, they're going to be an adult for 60. That means I'm going to spend more time with my child as an adult than I ever will as a child. And so if you're going to block me, if you're going to make it a scenario where you got some court order that is asking for money I cannot pay, I'm going to hide until the child is grown. And I'm going to have an adult relationship with my child. I'm going to hide. I can't pay it. What do you want me to do? I can't pay it. Right? Some of us can pay. Some of these orders can't. I spoke to one man, and this is where I'm close. And I was blown away. He was an electrician. I don't know how many kids he had. And he hadn't paid his child support, or hadn't paid enough. I don't know which one it was. And he had a lot of child support outstanding. And he said to me, as he's putting up the electrical lights in my store that I had years ago, he says, the second that they incarcerate me for this child support, I've already told her I'm going to kill myself, and she ain't going to get nothing. I said, brother, what did you just say to me? He said, I'm going to turn off the lights. You know, interestingly enough, I'm going to kill myself, and she ain't going to get nothing. I'm going to kill myself. They're not putting me in jail for that. I'm going to kill myself, the man said. And that is the mental acuity of how this thing affects people's minds. These men that are going through this stuff, you know, it's crazy. You're going to kill yourself? How about your children? How about, he said, he's going to kill himself over the money, over the child support money. This stuff is not cool, man. It's not good. It's not good. I don't know that's brother's circumstance. I don't know his situation now. I haven't been in touch with him, but he said he's going to kill himself over child support. And guys get dangerous when this thing, because they see it as a threat to their lives. You want to lock me up? You want to lock me up for some money? You want to get me put in jail with criminals over some money? Over these kids that I love, that I help you? Yeah, it's not a good scene. And it's seemingly our community, we do it the nastiest, we do it the dirtiest, you know, we do it the worst way, you know, and it seems that, you know, statistically, the women, when they come for these men, they come with no mercy. So I hope that we can make a change in our own community about that. I hope that, you know, this is not a reality of the future. I hope this is a demarcation point of change. But since the 80s, a 400% increase, I don't know. We have a problem in our community, and it needs to be solved. It needs to be solved quick, because you're going to have less black men on the street, and the ones that are on the street are not going to want to marry black women. And that's a problem. God bless you. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel. Shiloh Institute. Stand up. What do I think the root cause is? Lack of love. That's what the root cause is. Lack of love. The absence of love is the cause. And love doesn't mean, well, I love him if he's with me. No, you've got to love like how God loves, and say, you know what? You don't want to be with me anymore. You're still these children's father. I still have to trust that God put these children in our lives to raise them. And if you choose not to give what you think is your portion to give, then I'm going to let God work it out. But I'm not going to lock up my children's father. And I'm just like I'm not going to lock up my children's mother. So, bless you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.